Welcome back, sorry what listeners. Story from Mark that he sent to me on email. He took crazy revenge on her cheating wife, you need to hear that. Let's start. So, picture this. I'm at this music fest, jamming on my guitar, and boom, I see Elena. Everything else was just background noise. She was different, like she'd walked out of some vintage movie or something. After I finished playing, I had to go chat with her. We got talking about all sorts movies we loved, places we wanted to see. Every time we hung out, it felt like we were stealing moments from time itself. We started dating, and man, those were the days. Late night walks, deep chats under the stars, dreaming about what's next. Then, at that same festival a year later, I asked her to marry me. It was kinda poetic. We were just kids, both 18, but it felt right, you know. We got hitched, surrounded by everyone who mattered. I thought we were solid, that nothing could shake us. But, life's funny that way, always throwing curveballs. So, 10 years after the wedding, I decided to move closer to my folks. Seemed like a good idea at the time, you know. Fresh start, family support, all that jazz. But man, was I naive. The city was different. It wasn't the bustling, lively place we were used to. It was quieter, more settled. Elena felt it the most. She was a fish out of water, missing her old pals and the life we had. I mean, she'd left everything behind for me, and here we were, in this unfamiliar place. One evening, we were chilling on our porch, and she said, "Mark, I feel so out of place here. It's like I've lost a part of me." I tried to be supportive, babe, it's just a matter of time. You'll make friends, find your groove. Plus, my family's here to help. But she shot back, "It's not the same, Mark. Your family is great, but they're not my family. I don't have my own circle here." I got defensive, "So what do you want to do? Move back? Leave all this?" She sighed, "I don't know, Mark. I need something of my own here." We had more of these arguments than I'd like to admit. I felt torn. On one side, I had my wife, feeling lost and isolated. On the other, my family, who were just trying to make her feel welcome. Then, the Friday BBQ started. My folks thought it'd be a good way to help Elena adjust, introduce her to some local folks. At first, it was great. The smell of grilled meat, laughter, stories, it felt like old times. So the Friday BBQs became our thing. Every week, without fail, the smell of charcoal and sizzling meat would fill the air. My mom, bless her heart, went all out. She'd prep these elaborate dishes, trying to impress Elena with recipes from her old cookbook. She'd often say, "Elena, you're the daughter I never had. I want to make sure you feel at home here." Elena would smile, "Thank you, Mrs. Thompson. Your cooking is amazing. It's one of the things I genuinely look forward to every week." One evening, as I was manning the grill, I noticed Elena deep in conversation with my dad. They were laughing, sharing stories, and there was this connection. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it was there. "Your husband tells me you're quite the artist," my dad said, sipping his drink. Elena blushed, "Oh, I dabble. It's just a hobby." Dad raised an eyebrow, "From what I've heard, it's more than just dabbling. You should consider showcasing your work." Elena looked surprised, "Really? I've never thought about it. But thank you, that's kind of you to say." As the evening wore on, I noticed them talking more and more. About art, movies, travel. It was clear they had a lot in common. And while I trusted Elena, something about their budding friendship made me uneasy. My mom, ever the observer, noticed my discomfort. "Mark," she whispered, pulling me aside, "don't overthink it. Elena's just making a friend. It's good for her." I nodded, but the unease remained. "I know, Mom. It's just I don't know. Something feels off." She hugged me, "Trust in your love, Mark. Trust in Elena. Everything will be all right." The BBQs had become more than just a meal, they were a symbol of family, of unity. That evening, as the aroma of grilled meat wafted through the air and a soft hum of conversation filled the background, my dad decided to drop his idea. Clearing his throat, he began, "You know, the furniture store has been in our family for generations. But every generation brings something new to it." He paused, looking at Elena. "I've seen your artwork, Elena. It's fresh, vibrant, and full of life. How would you feel about collaborating? Bringing some of that life to the store?" The surprise was evident on Elena's face. "Richard, that's unexpected. I'm honored, truly. But I've never ventured into commercial work. Before she could say more, my mom, ever the beacon of positivity, jumped in. Elena, darling, this is a fantastic opportunity. Think of all the wonderful things you could create, the stories you could tell through your art. And you won't be alone. We're all here with you. I watched as Elena's apprehension slowly melted away, replaced by a cautious optimism. All right, she said with a smile, I'll give it a shot. The rest of the evening was a blur of excitement. Plans were discussed, ideas thrown around, and the atmosphere was electric. My mom was particularly thrilled, talking about potential themes and designs, her eyes shining with anticipation. But amidst the joy, I felt a pang of unease. It wasn't about the collaboration, it was the growing bond between Elena and my dad. They seemed to be on the same wavelength, finishing each other's sentences, their laughter echoing in harmony. Later that night, as Elena and I lay in bed, I voiced my thoughts. Are you sure about this? Working with my dad? She turned to me, her eyes searching mine. Mark, it's just a project. But it's also a chance for me to find my place here, to do something I love. Can't you see that? I nodded, pulling her close. I do. Just promise me it won't change us. She whispered, nothing can change us. But as the days turned into weeks and the collaboration took off, I couldn't shake off the feeling that we were on the brink of something monumental, something that would redefine our lives. The transformation of the store was nothing short of miraculous. With Elena's touch, the once mundane furniture pieces became works of art, drawing in more customers than ever. But as the days went by, the store wasn't the only thing undergoing a transformation. Elena's initial excitement about the project began to morph into an obsession. Our cozy dinners turned into reheated leftovers as she consistently came home late. The vibrant woman I fell in love with seemed to be fading, replaced by a tired, distant version of herself. One particularly cold evening, I waited up for her. The clock struck midnight, and just as the weight of my eyelids became unbearable, the front door creaked open. Elena walked in, her face pale from exhaustion, her hands stained with paint. Why didn't you call? I asked, trying to keep the frustration out of my voice. She sighed, dropping her bag on the floor. I lost track of time. There's so much to do before the launch. I couldn't hold back any longer. Elena, this isn't just about the store anymore. We're drifting apart. You're always with my dad, always at the store. Where does that leave us? She looked at me, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. Mark, I thought you'd be happy for me. I thought you'd understand. Our home, which once resonated with love and laughter, now echoed with our arguments. The walls seemed to close in, bearing witness to our growing rift. One afternoon, as I was nursing a cup of coffee, my mom sat down next to me. Her face was etched with concern. Mark, she began, her voice soft, I've been watching, and I don't like what I see. Elena's changed, and not for the better. I looked away, the weight of her words heavy on my heart. I don't know what to do, Mom. I feel like I'm losing her. She took my hand, her grip firm. I've also noticed her closeness with your father. It's not right. There's a line, and I fear they might be crossing it. The pit in my stomach grew deeper. You think there's something going on between them? She hesitated, choosing her words carefully. I pray there isn't. But you need to address this, Mark. Before it's too late. Determined to salvage what was left of our relationship, I decided to confront Elena. The days following my conversation with Mom were a blur. The seed of doubt she planted grew, casting a shadow over every interaction, every glance shared between Elena and my father. I needed answers, but more than that, I needed the truth. One evening, after another late dinner without Elena, I decided to pay a surprise visit to the store. Maybe seeing their interactions firsthand would put my mind at ease. As I approached, the soft glow of the store's light spilled onto the street, and through the window, I saw them. Elena and my father, engrossed in a deep conversation. Their faces were serious, their proximity closer than I would have liked. Taking a deep breath, I pushed the door open. The bell above jingled, announcing my presence. They both looked up, surprise evident on their faces. Mark, Elena began, her voice shaky, what are you doing here? I looked between them, trying to read the situation. I could ask you the same thing. It's past midnight, Elena. My father, ever the peacemaker, tried to intervene. Son, we were just finalizing some designs. It took longer than expected. But I wasn't having it. Dad, this isn't just about the designs, is it? There's something else going on. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Mark, please. Let's not do this here. But the dam had broken. Do what? Ask why my wife is spending her nights with my father. Why she's grown distant. Why everything feels so wrong. The room was thick with tension. My father's face was a mask of guilt and regret. Mark, he began, his voice heavy, it's not what you think. Before he could continue, the back door opened and in walked a familiar face. David, my father's old friend. He looked between us, sensing the tension. Did I come at a bad time? Elena, wiping her tears, spoke up. David, maybe you can explain. Tell Mark about the art exhibition. David, looking puzzled, replied, the exhibition. The one where we're showcasing your designs. The one your father and I have been planning as a surprise for you. The pieces began to fall into place. The late nights, the secrecy, it was all for an art exhibition. A showcase of Elena's talent, a gift from my father to her. Elena came forward, taking my hands. Mark, I wanted it to be a surprise. Your father thought it would be a great way to introduce my art to the world. I looked at my father, who nodded. I just wanted to make her happy, to help her find her place in the city. The weight of my accusations, the mistrust, bore down on me. I had doubted the two people who meant the most to me. The room was silent, the air thick with regret and unspoken apologies. The day of the exhibition dawned bright and clear. The city's art enthusiasts were buzzing with anticipation. Elena's designs, though a fresh entry into the art world, had garnered significant attention thanks to the promotional efforts of Richard and my father. The venue was a beautiful art gallery downtown, its walls now adorned with Elena's masterpieces. As I walked in, the atmosphere was electric. Soft music played in the background and the room was filled with murmurs of appreciation. Elena, radiant in a flowing dress, was the center of attention, gracefully accepting compliments and discussing her work. I felt a pang of guilt for ever doubting her. The evening was going perfectly and I decided to grab a drink. As I made my way to the bar, I noticed a slightly ajar door leading to a dimly lit room. Curiosity piqued, I approached it, intending to take a peek. What I saw inside shattered my world. Elena and my father in a passionate embrace, their faces inches apart, lost in each other. The weight of the betrayal hit me like a ton of bricks. My heart raced, and a cold fury replaced the initial shock. I retreated quietly, ensuring they remained oblivious to my discovery. I needed to confide in someone, and who better than my mother? I found her, engrossed in a conversation, and gently pulled her aside. Her eyes widened as I recounted what I'd witnessed. She whispered, her voice trembling with rage, I feared this, Mark. I hoped I was wrong, but… I cut her off, we need to do something, Mom. They can't get away with this. She nodded, determination evident in her eyes. We'll handle this, together. They won't see it coming. Over the next few days, Mom and I met in secret, brainstorming and plotting. We decided on a two-pronged approach. Exposing the affair to our close-knit community and ensuring my father's business suffered a significant blow. It was a cold, calculated plan, fueled by betrayal and heartbreak. As the days turned into weeks, the pieces of our revenge started falling into place. The days leading up to our revenge felt like the calm before a storm. My mother and I worked meticulously, ensuring every detail was perfect. We decided to host a grand event under the guise of celebrating the success of the furniture store and Elena's booming art career. Invitations were sent out to the city's elite, our close friends and family. The stage was set. The idea? Throw a party so grand that everyone who's anyone in the city would show up. And boy, did they. The venue was lit, music was on point, and the mood electric. But little did everyone know, they were in for the shock of their lives. The buzz leading up to the party was insane. Everyone was talking about it. Mom and I had pulled out all the stops. The venue. The city's most upscale ballroom. The guest list. A who's who of the town's elite. The dress code. Black tie. We were going big. As I walked in, the atmosphere was electric. The room was bathed in soft golden light, jazz music played in the background, and there was this sense of anticipation in the air. I caught snippets of conversations, people praising Elena's artwork, others discussing the latest sales at the furniture store. But amidst the chatter, I had this knot in my stomach. Tonight was the night. A few hours in, drinks flowing, laughter echoing, I knew it was time. I signaled the DJ to cut the music. Taking a deep breath, I began, "Hey everyone. Firstly, thanks for being here. It means a lot. But tonight isn't just about celebrating. It's about truth." The giant screen at the end of the room flickered to life. The montage began. Every secret meeting, every whispered conversation, every stolen moment between Elena and my dad was laid bare for all to see. The room went from lively to dead silent real quick. When the video ended, the silence was deafening. All eyes darted between the screen, Elena, my dad, and me. Elena looked like she wanted the ground to swallow her up, and Dad. He just looked defeated. Mom, with that fire I always admired, stepped forward. "To think," she began, her voice dripping with sarcasm, "all these years, I thought we were family. And you," she pointed at Elena, "I treated you like my own." Elena, tears streaming, tried to speak, "It's not what it looks like." But Mom wasn't having it. "Save it. We've seen enough." The aftermath was like something out of a movie. Friends and family rallied around us, offering support. Dad's business. Let's just say people didn't want to buy from a backstabber. And Elena. She left town, but not before dropping off a long letter. I tossed it. Didn't need more drama. The house was quieter, sure, but there was also a sense of peace. A storm had passed, leaving clarity in its wake. Mom and I, we became a team. We had each other's backs, always. And as for trust, let's just say it became a precious commodity. Man, that story really got me thinking. It's a stark reminder that trust, once broken, is incredibly hard to mend. Relationships, whether family or romantic, are built on trust and understanding. When that foundation cracks, everything can come tumbling down. Personally, I think communication is key. If Mark and Elena had just talked things out earlier, maybe things wouldn't have spiraled the way they did. But then again, every story has its lessons, right? The moral here. Always communicate, trust but verify, and remember that actions have consequences. It's essential to think about the ripple effects of our choices. What about you guys? Ever been in a situation where trust was tested? Share your stories and thoughts down below. And if you're vibing with these deep dives and story times, make sure to smash that subscribe button for Sorry What. Let's keep this conversation going. And hey, don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss out on our next chat. Stay curious and always question the norm. Catch you soon.